boy policeman a come.
Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police a come and the gala holla murder. Police a come and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Police a come and the gala holla murder. Police a come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police a come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman a come.
Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police a come and the gala holla murder. Police a come and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Police a come and the gala holla murder. Police a come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police a come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman a come.
Sanko squeezy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko squeezy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police a come and the gala holla murder. Police a come and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Police a come and the gala holla murder. Police a come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy,
You better run.
Sanko boy, police a come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman a come. Sanko,
You better run.
Sanko,
Police are come.
Sanko,
You better run.
Sanko.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and on the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Renskap, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Renskap stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom, I who tell the truth. Mark Renskap, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Renskap, radio station is the fruit. Mark Renskap, straight up from the root. Mark Renskap, I who tell the truth. Mark Renskap, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Renskap, radio station is the fruit. Mark Renskap, straight up from the root. Mark.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right, good evening. It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock. My name is Mark Benshap. Let's get ready to rock and roll to begin with. Hope you guys had a successful and a rather productive weekend, whatever you did. It's good to see you back again. For those of you who celebrated your birthdays, your anniversaries, whatever it is that you celebrated, hope you guys have had fun. Sorry. And for those who are celebrating their birthdays today, good evening and happy birthday to all of you. All right, to begin with, let's start off. U.S. Marshals. Some of them are in Guyana. That's according to a report, according to one of our sources. Is saying that the U.S. Marshal is in Guyana. They're in Guyana. What are they doing in Guyana? I don't know. You guys in the audience are very smart people. Very, very smart. Smarter than our operator Lemon. I got to admit that to you guys, but Lemon tries his best. He's a technical guy, but he's getting to understand politics more and more. But you guys are the smart ones out there, right? We got to give you guys credit. And not the trench crappos, obviously, but the Marshal, the U.S. Marshal. Some of them are in Guyana. We can just speculate. What are they there for? Is it to remind Anil that they have discussed certain things, mind you? And as a result, they're not seeing much at all. Could it be that they gave some sort of, of course, they wouldn't just take extraditions down there. I guess it has to go through, there's a procedure, right? But again, to go back to talk about individuals who are wanted, that they have sealed indictments, quite a few sealed indictments. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend, oh, I saw this and I saw that and I know this and I know that. That's not for me to sit here and say. Those things have other folks who probably, I don't know for what reason, but I just don't do that here at all. We just want you to read between the lines, at least read between the lines. We just give you the information and we want you to read between the lines. Don't let other people attempt to interpret things for you, because you guys are going to be led down a dark alleyway. And when you're led down a dark alleyway, there's no way out. You all run into a jam, then there become confusion and all manner of things, just do not be fooled, guys. Do not be fooled. I noticed Shanette Alicia right away saying, rung them up. And that's what got to happen. But the question is, who is going to rung them up? A lot of these guys do not leave the country. A lot of those guys who should be rounded up are not leaving the country. They're not going anywhere. They're buying. They're pretending as though they're buying planes to do what? Fly in the bush and back, driving around in fancy cars and so forth. And that's just for Guyana. Ask them if they are so innocent. Good evening to you guys again. If they are so innocent and they are honest businessmen, a lot of them, not just the Mohammeds, them, not just Hazruddin or whatever his name is, and his dad Hazar or Nazar or whatever, not just them. If they are honest businessmen, and is the case of these guys here, if they are honest businessmen, and they have nothing to hide. Absolutely. As what the father is saying here, he's challenging Reuters' report to produce the evidence to support allegations. Now, this is idiotic. How the heck you're going to challenge a newspaper to produce evidence? Evidence is not produced like that. Evidence is produced in court. When charges or indictments are unsealed, assuming that they might be indictments, mind you, I'm not saying that they're indictments, I'm just assuming. And so if they are indictments, and these indictments after individuals are arrested, rounded up, and extradited, and then those, in order for the indictments to be unsealed, the individuals have to appear in front of a judge. They have to. Once they're extradited, whoever, right? Once they're extradited, then those indictments are unsealed. And when those indictments are unsealed, that is when you know, at least officially, the charges leveled against the accused. The charges. That's when you know what the charges are. Somebody may whisper something to you, or somebody may whisper, don't worry with what you're seeing and reading, that those things are just quote unquote hearsay. And so the Mohammeds and maybe others run away with this notion that whatever is being said about them is just a hearsay, and brush it off. Nothing serious. We're honest people, nothing really serious about anything. And, that seemed to be the trend. Nothing is serious. They hire an FBI agent, ex-FBI agent, who jump up and say, oh, nothing is serious. There's nothing really. And they've checked here and they've checked there. Everybody's checking all over. But I wonder if Reuters, because remember, this is what Reuters report says, right? The U.S. government officials, this is unlike an ex-FBI agent who just is getting paid by the Mohammeds to go out and speak what the Mohammeds want to hear. So if they give him $200,000 or $300,000 to speak their language, he's going to speak things that they're going to like. But the ex-FBI agent has no power, none whatsoever, to go into agencies and question those agencies, those law enforcement agencies, or question the State Department whether they have anything against the Mohammed or anything against any suspect. And so that is just a bunch of baloney. But here is what we got to focus on. According to Reuters, U.S. government officials repeatedly, and I repeat, repeatedly warned Exxon to avoid Mobil, to avoid doing business with two mining magnates in Guyana who face a U.S. investigation on suspicions of money laundering, drug trafficking, and gold smuggling, according to 5 people with knowledge of the matter, and 2 intelligence reports seen by Reuters. Now, intelligence reports are not seen by just any and anyone, just like that. And those intelligence reports are not handed out in rum shops and bars and strip clubs. So not everyone has access to these sort of things. Not every powerful politicians in Washington, D.C. have access to these intelligence reports. So, I'm just telling you guys how it operates, right? How it operates. Only high-level individuals within the U.S. law enforcement agencies and the government would have access or knowledge about these sort of intelligence reports. Now, read between the lines. Do not be taken down into a dark alleyway and be confused about situation. So now let us go back to what the Mohammeds are asking. The Mohammeds are saying that they're not guilty. Fair enough. If someone is accused of a crime, they're entitled to say, well, nobody comes out to say that they're guilty of anything. Unless they go to court and decided that, look, as the guys them in Camp Street and so forth say, throw in the towel and you plead for a lesser count, maybe manslaughter. We have seen that. We have seen that. They throw in the towel. Roger Khan threw in the towel, I believe, and accepted. And then Lovell threw in the towel and he has accepted, and all charged with drugs, right? Then you had a couple folks extradited from Guyana. Now let's look at those couple folks who were extradited from Guyana. You had Lovell, of course, caught in Jamaica, extradited. You have the former policeman Neblet, extradited from Guyana. And then you had another guy who killed a guy, accused of killing a guy in Queens, New York, ran away, and he was hiding in Guyana. He was extradited. And all three of them are of one ethnic group. But the PPP regime, they're not giving up anyone at all, especially as long as those individuals look like them, act like them, dance like them, and is probably, those individuals are probably as corrupt as those guys in the PPP regime. Very corrupt. So these PPP vagabonds in office are not letting go of their quote-unquote criminals just like that. And so no matter how much the U.S. law enforcement agencies or the U.S. government present extradition requests to the PPP regime, they're not giving up their people. And oftentimes, all of their people, no matter how corrupt they may be, are always innocent. Oh, we have done nothing wrong. And everybody in Guyana already knows, everyone knows what is happening, every single one. Guyana is not like a place where you have a big fence and people outside of the fence don't know what's happening. You know what I mean? All right, if you're now joining us, good evening and welcome to Straight Up on 107.1 FM. Again, just to remind you guys, it is reported that the U.S. Marshal there in Guyana, I'm not sure if they're going to the usual. Anil Nandala he loves to publish these things and take photographs and so forth. I'm not sure if they're going to be taking photographs at this time, but this photograph that you're seeing with Anil and that U.S. Marshal guy who has connections to Guyana, but he is actually an American, born American, mind you. And so Anil loves to take photographs. He loves to take photographs. But when he gets those information, the question, what does he do with the information? Does he feed those guys back with the information as to who is on the extradition list or not? And I'm almost certain that he wouldn't know all the names on the extradition list and so forth. At least he shouldn't be given that information because we all know what may happen with that information. All right, again, if you're now joining us, my name is Mark Benshop. I'm looking at some of your comments. Good evening, good evening, good evening to all of you. Again, if you see any trench crapo, just whistle at us and Lemon will ensure that they go right into the gutter. We are not tolerating them tonight. We're not in the mood for that. We don't have the patience at all for that at all. In fact, we don't have the patience for trench crapos and idiotic folks. We just don't have the patience for that. Let me see what else is it that I want to bring to your attention about Guyana. You know then that, sorry about that. You know that, you guys know that, Dharam Lal has to go. Sorry about that, pause sometimes a little bit, right? You guys know that Dharam Lal has to go. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But tonight, I'm going to bet you guys $13.25 that his replacement is going to be Siraj. Siraj, who is currently an MP, so which means they don't have to look for two MPs, because if you replace Dharam Lal as the Minister of Local Government, then you have to replace him with someone who has to go into parliament as well. And since Dharam Lal is from the regional list, they have to go to that region that he's representing to replace him with someone in parliament, because he is not going back into parliament. Don't be fooled. He's not going back into parliament. He is not. And so he possibly is going to be replaced in parliament by a woman, an indigenous woman from that region. I repeat, an indigenous woman from that region, according, as we say at Philippi, according to our report. So look out for an indigenous woman replacing Dharam Lal in parliament. And now the question, who is going to replace Dharam Lal as the Minister of Local Government? It's certainly not going to be the guy who is the second in command there, or the Junior Minister of Local Government, Anand Prasad. He is not going to replace, Anand Prasad is not going to be the senior minister, because Anand Prasad himself probably, not too well at all, just went to the US for some sort of major operation. So he himself, Anand Prasad, is not well himself. But guess who? And I am willing to put my last $13.25 on the block that this guy, Dharam Kumar Siraj, who is already MP, Dharam Kumar Siraj will be replacing Dharam Lal, and I could talk as loud as I could talk tonight. That Siraj, Dharam Kumar, sorry about that, guys. Dharam Kumar Siraj will be replacing Dharam Lal. So from one Dharam Kom to another Dharam Kom. So Dharam Kom to bring Dharam Kom, and Dharam Kom, Dharam Lal had his US visa revoked, and Dharam Kumar had his US visa revoked. So Dharam Kom, Dharam Khan, Dharam Kom, Dharam Khan, one Dharam Khan, another Dharam Kom, and that is how they are operating. And now, everything, almost 99.9% of things that we do and we say, we always try to ensure that we double check our reports, right? 1% we may not get it. Remember, we broke the story right here about the little girl, right here on 107.1 FM. Nobody was acting, but we broke it right here. And when we broke the story, everybody else ran with it, including Mr. Wayne Caesar. Good evening to you, sir. How was your weekend? And welcome to 107.1 FM again.
Good evening, Mark. I had a pretty good weekend. You're not hearing me?
Yeah, we're hearing you now. Go right ahead. How are you?
Loud and clear. Okay. Yeah, so good evening, Mark. Yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. I was pretty busy doing Bench Up Foundation work, if you want to know the details of my weekend. Good evening to all our listeners and viewers.
Yeah, we're glad that you're back. Your son, you've been traveling the world dealing with Bench Up Foundation work. Let the people know you were over in Geneva, you were over in Germany, all over Brooklyn, in those places. Thank you so much indeed. As we continue here, let's go to what we've been hearing. You're the accounts guy. The stock market, of course. Exxon stock gone down by 7 points, I believe. Hess is also going down as a result of the big news in Guyana, and we are sticking with the big news in Guyana, which is this here. What is your take on the stocks dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping, sir?
Well, you see, Mark, that's what I've been saying ever since with ExxonMobil and the other oil companies that are in Guyana. They have to be very clean with this type of business. We have the Security and Exchange Commission that really looks into these publicly traded companies. So you have to be careful who you're dealing with. And with something like this coming out, US probing Exxon contractor, absolutely, that's going to have a negative effect on the stock. So, they need to come clean with this. sometimes you got to lose people. And this contractor, Exxon, need to, get rid of this contractor. I'm not even going to call the name, but they need to get rid of this contractor and clean up their act in Guyana, man. Listen, Mark, it's not just about the contractor. It's also about the oil insurance and all these things. You see, the stock market, it works on speculation, man. And, when you're doing business, you have to do clean business, right? That's why we have the Security and Exchange Commission in place, to keep these companies honest and, without corruption. So,
Honest and without
hey,
corruption,
they know what
indeed.
they got to
27
do.
minutes after 9 o'clock. Mr. Caesar is with us here. We're talking about situation in Guyana, and Mr. Caesar is correct as it pertains to the corruption, allegations of high-level corruption, and we heard that the Exxon actually were warned about these people when they had the IDB and the shore base with Munishwar and the IDB. They had to pull back on that, and now with this individual or individuals, Mohammed's, then a big question mark about corruption, and all manner of allegations of serious criminal misconduct. Allegations, mind you. And so Exxon is in a serious predicament at this point in time. And in moving forward, they will have to sever all manner of business relationship, as my opinion, that is, with the Mohammeds. Otherwise, they will be sanctioned. And the PPP folks like Priya Manik Chan, they love to talk about sanction. Well, here is the opportunity to sanction not only Exxon, but by extension, if this investigation gets bigger, because according to our sources here at 107.1 FM, maybe other newspapers, international newspapers and news agencies will carry other forms of this corruption, allegations of corruption in Guyana. Maybe we'll see something in the New York, in the New York Times, or maybe the Washington Post, or maybe the Wall Street Journal. Who knows? But what we know for a fact is that Reuters went ahead, first jumped with that story. And the Mohammeds are calling on Reuters to produce the evidence. Quite idiotic, as I said earlier, because Reuters doesn't have to produce any darn evidence. The evidence is produced in court. And if Reuters did something to defame them, as our attorney Shallon Washington said last Friday, is take Reuters to court. And if they take Reuters to court, then a big can of worm will open. Mr. Caesar, anything else on that before we move
Mark,
on?
Mark, that Reuters would have been around for a very long time, and it's a very credible news source, news agency. They have employed currently about 6,000 employees and about 200 news houses around the world. So there's no way, a news agency of this caliber would take such risk in putting a story like this out, if it's not credible. So, hence the reason you don't see a lawsuit or anything coming from the Mohammeds, because there's no grounds for any lawsuit. This information, it's credible. Okay, it's credible. And I heard you talking earlier about FBI agents being on the ground in Guyana. There's going to be a lot of FBI.
I don't talk these things. I don't know anything about anything, but let me say this.
Okay.
I'm not the one that loves to boast and brag about those things at all.
Yeah, but Mark, they are going to be.
What I've said is that they are from our source here at 107.1 FM, that they have U.S. Marshals,
yes.
But we all do know, Mr. Caesar, that FBI agents are all over.
All over, yes.
Whether Guyana, wherever, right? And it's not for me to say that. It is pretty obvious. But go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, the thing about this, man, is that the government, man, these guys don't learn. They feel like if they know everything because they're sitting there in government. But there are people on the ground that are surveying this government. Okay? And like I said, Mark, it's time up on this government. Everybody would have seen that. Everybody see what they gave. Everybody understands, their mentals then. You know, they don't have the Guyanese people at heart here at all. They're just moving
No,
along
no,
and
no.
doing, you know,
Mr. Caesar,
yeah.
we've got to be reasonable. And I'm
Mhm.
absolutely serious about that. You cannot, and I'm not going to allow anybody to come, and neither myself here, to say that, you know, the regime is doing some sort of thing for the people. Look, for example, and I'll show the evidence, sir. What about this they're giving to the Guyanese people? Isn't this sufficient? Isn't this sufficient?
Mark,
What more Guyanese people want? Look at the houses they're giving the people. Look at these houses. You know, a little bit of humor that the
yeah,
regime
yeah,
is a
right.
corrupt regime, Mr. Caesar. They don't
Well,
mean well to the people. They can't do good, and they're not going to do good. But continue on track with
yeah,
what
with
you were
those
saying.
houses that you just
Absolutely
showed there,
correct. Yeah.
those houses that you would have just showed there, I remember back in the days in Guyana, we would play. What happened? Children don't play anymore because there's no space there to play. You know, I don't know how a single mother with 4 or 5 children, or even 3 children, let's say it's a breakdown of boys and girls, could live in something like that where the kids gonna sleep. You know, boys need their own room, girls need their own room. So listen, this government just think that they can just throw garbage and throw crumbs at the Guyanese people, and that the Guyanese people are not edifying and have an understanding to what it is that they are doing. But like I would have said over and over on this show, time is up. Time is definitely up for the PPP.
And you keep saying that, Mr. Caesar. Maybe we should start printing some T-shirts and pens and so forth. Time is up. There, look,
Yes.
the people who installed them, because they were installed, the people who installed these people are even fed up of them because of the level of corruption all across. These guys are so corrupt. They're even throwing a so-called One Guyana show in Queens where they are corrupt themselves at every level. You know, even for the handouts or the cash grants handouts and so forth, they are corrupt and corrupt and corrupt. Look at these little houses. Look at these houses. You know, can Irfan can't even fit in one of this. Jagir Garage is not even Jagir Garage is about 4 times this year. Look at what they're giving Guyanese people in an oil-rich economy. Billions of dollars, billions upon billions of dollars. But these crappos who are in office cannot even run a cake shop, much less to run a government, an entire country with less than 1 million people. What about the $50,000, 50,000 jobs? What about the free education
Well,
at the university level that they took away in 1993? What about these things to young people? Nothing at all. Nothing. Unless you can tell me something that they have done other than brought frustration,
well,
returned frustration to the people.
well, Mark, they would have brought in those. They would have given the people these little 20-hour jobs, right?
Some of them getting 10 hours.
20, 10 hours and these type of things. No, 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 Mark, answer this question for me. You're my landlord and I'm coming to give you your rent. And I'm telling you, hey, Mark, I only did 10 hours this week. You don't want to hear that, right? You want your rent, right? Isn't that correct?
Well, to
So,
begin with, yes, every landlord want their rent.
correct,
And
correct.
I'm
So,
not.
so my
Yeah.
thing is this. My thing is this. How are you going to give people 20-hour jobs and 10-hour jobs? That cannot sustain a family. There's no
It's
way.
fooling
And
the
then you
people.
don't even have like a welfare system that people can go, you know, and
Well,
get some
they do have
finances to help
they do have a welfare system in Guyana. They do.
Mark.
And the biggest welfare recipients are
Okay.
Javier and his
Okay.
family, his
Okay.
outside family, his family and so forth, Irfan and his family and so forth, all the ministers and so forth. They are the biggest welfare recipients in Guyana. They're sucking the blood of the Guyanese people. That is what they're doing. And meanwhile, the ordinary folks got to fight up, Mr. Caesar, to have money to send their kids to the University of Guyana. They got to look around. They got to, I don't want to use the word beg, but every parent would want the best for their kids. Every parent. But the PPP is depriving young people of that sort of opportunity in Guyana. And so instead of giving back to the ordinary people, they're not doing that. Whether the people are from Plaisance, Linden, Ituri, Kokwani, Letem, Bartica, on the quarantine, Oriala, wherever, they're not giving back to the ordinary people. These vagabonds in the PPP are stealing our hard-earned taxes and the resources of the country, while they're giving out some of those guys who have hopped into Guyana now, who are taking out billions upon billions. The ordinary folks, regardless of their ethnicity, are punishing in that country. That's a fact, Mr. Caesar.
Well, Mark, you couldn't have said it any better. You know, someone would have quoted the PPP, the word PP, letters PPP, and said it's the people punishing party. And I could not agree more with that.
Punishing small days, we knew it as PPP, punishing poor people. And they continue to live up to that name.
Correct. Listen, this party over the last 23 plus 3 years has been a party that would have broken the dreams of so many young people and even adults across Guyana, would have broken the hearts of so many mothers who would have had their children killed, have their children left home to go wherever, whether it's school, work, or whatever it is, and never return back home. Under the coalition, we never had these type of things. You didn't have to be thinking at the back of your head as a parent when you go to work, oh my God, I hope my son come home and have to get down on your knees and praying and all these type of things. But under this regime, the amount of people that would have been killed, Mark, I hope that the Guyanese people get it through their skulls, man. Mark, it's time for change. Okay? Simply time for change. It's time up. We need to print those t-shirts. Time up. PPP, your time is over. You guys have made a mess, a royal mess of our country, a royal mess of our finances, a royal mess of our economy. Okay? And you've done tremendous damage to the people of Guyana, physically, mentally, socially. Okay? And we are just not going to sit here and take that anymore. It's time up. Mark, the opposition, Mark, needs to focus on GCOM. They need to focus on a clean list. They need to focus on biometrics. Mark, we're only approximately 2 years out, man. We got to get moving. We are sitting and we are not moving. We have to move on this. GCOM we're not going to have elections, Mark, and the results are not forthcoming. The Guyana Elections Commission, they are looking for trouble with the people when you behave and you posture yourself in that manner. You're here to serve the people of Guyana. Okay? People cannot come out to vote, which is their democratic right, and they're not getting proper results. We cannot have a general election, Mark, and the results be posted online. That's unacceptable. And we cannot have a general election with the list the way it is. Listen, we had a smaller sample to deal with at local government election, Mark, by mathematical standards. We're going in now to a general election. We're going to be dealing with a larger sample of people. Hence, the PPP have an opportunity. We have to remember, these people are in government right now. They have an opportunity to rig again, and we are just not going to accept rigging. We are not going to accept it. So the opposition needs to get on GCOM on this. And those GCOM commissioners, Mark, the GCOM commissioners, all three of them across the board, I am disappointed. I don't care who is who. I am disappointed. Okay? You have a mandate to the people to keep them informed. It's not just about you and GCOM. Okay? You have an audience out there. You have supporters out there that wants information. And you have to be forthcoming with information. And these commissioners, Mark, they need to be pressing. They need to be pressing Claudette Singh. Claudette Singh cannot cannot control the narrative. She cannot. One woman is just like Barry Jagdeo. No one person cannot control the narrative. If she knows that she's receiving threats and all these things, Mark, she needs to give up the job and walk away and put someone there who is credible and fair. She got on camera and said that she is going to be fair with elections and fair with everything, and no amount of oil could buy your integrity. Well, Claudette Singh, where the heck is your integrity? Where is it? Over to you, Mark.
Well, I don't know what she meant by no amount of
oil or money.
I don't know what she meant by that. No amount of oil. But this is the same Claudette Singh who said that she believed that Nazar Mohammed wanted her dead during the elections. This is a woman who said that. She said it, not me. She said Nazar Mohammed, or the Mohammed, wanted her dead during the elections. And we'll touch on that later on, but I noticed that people just like that PPP, y'all, time is up. PPP, y'all, time is up. I hope some Calypsonian out there would run with that. PPP, time is up. But don't go to no pro PPP show that they describe as One Guyana and play y'all singing PPP, y'all, time is up, because those pro PPP shows, those pro PPP One Guyana crap shows, now, this is not knocking. This is not knocking those Indo-Guyanese shows that they coin as One Guyana, which is not. I like the singers there. Terry Gadraj is my friend for over close to 30 years, my buddy friend, and Devendra Puran and all those others, and who else? Apache Warrior and so forth. I like those guys. Those are good guys. And I'm not knocking at them. I'm not knocking at the Indo-Caribbean shows and so forth, but it's the One Guyana crap. It is just what it is. It is crap. They get one guy who promoted a so-called One Guyana show, was basically attacking persons of African descent, saying then that majority of the nurses are of African descent and they're lazy and they're this and they're that. And then that same promoter said that when you see people in the opposition, spit in their face, spit in them, spit in them. That is what these guys were saying. And then suddenly they're promoting shows now and calling it One Guyana. And then you have that vagabond Irfan Ali praising them. This is what we want. This is what, guys, read between the lines. Just read between the lines. Now let's go back to Guyana. And let's touch on this here now, Mr. Caesar. This here now. These kids died in that horrific fire. They died. 20 of them. 20 of them. The regime, the PPP regime, doesn't care about these kids. It's all about propaganda. That is what it is. Propaganda and propaganda and propaganda. Nothing more. And they have basically made guys like Jerry Govaya, unless Jerry wants to come on this show to say that it is not true. Jerry Govaya made hundreds of millions of dollars from back and forth with his planes, and so that is exactly what it's all about. The money. All about the money. All about the money. That is what it is. That is what it's about. All about the money. Dexter Haley, come on, we know what's going on. You're telling me, come on, man. We already know what's happening. We already know some of the money launderers who supported that so-called One Guyana show in Queens. Okay? We already know that. Now, $5 million to the family of these little ones. 5 million Guyana dollars. 5 million. And those who were injured, $3 million for them. So $5 million to these family members of these young ones who lost their lives as a result of the PPP regime, and $3 million to these students who were injured, and the PPP dragged them out of the hospital bed and took them a dysfunction the very night, minutes after they were discharged, forced discharge, just to rush for this photo op and so forth. So we already know what they are up to, but $3 million for these survivors and $5 million for them. Now, this reminds me of what the PPP did to the 3 martyrs out in Linden. Offered them probably a little over $1 million. 1.5, that may be too high. $1.5 million. And those who were injured were offered 500,000 Guyana dollars. 500,000 Guyana dollars. The folks, the martyrs out in Linden, thank God they got more money, their relatives that is, got more money under the coalition. But the PPP didn't give a damn about those people in Linden. As the same, even though the money went up a little bit with these young students who lost their lives as a result of the PPP, and these other young students who were injured, the money gone up a little bit. But you have a minister of the government, the regime, paid close to $3 million to fix 4 teeth in her mouth. Pauline Sukai, taxpayers' money. So fixing her teeth is more important than compensating the loved ones and those who were injured. Over to you, sir. $5 million. Look at this. We're not making this up. This is not propaganda. Madhya tragedy. $5 million for families of children who died. $3 million for those injured. Your take, sir.
Yeah, well, Mark, let me just first start off by saying there is no price that you can place on a life. So I just want to make that clear first and foremost. And then with $5 million being offered by the PPP, it's a total slap in the faces of these families that would have raised these children for 16, 17 years, and listen, they didn't just lose their children for 2 or 3 months. They lost them for the rest of their lives here. Okay? So $5 million, Mark, is nothing here to compensate the people for the trauma, for the loss that they feel, and the sadness that they have to bear on a daily basis here. I would say if the parents are smart here, they would reject these amounts being offered and sue the PPP for $100 billion. Okay? Or whatever. Because listen, Mark, 94.4 billion was just allocated for schools, man. This should not have happened to these children. This is a tragedy. Okay? And I take this again and I place it at the feet of the government. It is the fault of the government. I don't care what anybody say. That I have a right to my opinion, and it's the fault of the government. And they need to compensate these families correctly. You guys go and recalculate and come back again. You want to give 5 million because it's indigenous people and you think that they can't count or they don't know money. Okay, but we are here and we are going to represent them. We're here and we're going to represent them. $5 million is a drop in the bucket. All right, we need to come better. These people would have lost their children. And for the injured children, $3 million, listen, they would have lost friends, Mark, in that fire. Okay, they are going to be dealing with that trauma for the rest of their lives. Depending on the severity of their injuries, I would say $5 to $10 million for them. Listen, we're not talking about a country that doesn't have money here. Okay, we have a lot of money passing through Guyana. It is just not reaching the Guyanese people. Okay, so the government needs to pay up. Listen, Darmlal was offering what, Mark? $10 million to that young lady? Come on now.
According
to right, allegedly. Now, yeah. Come on here. Come on here. 5 million. Get out of here with that. Over to you, Mark.
Yeah, according to allegations, Dharamlal was offering $10 million. We don't know, but look, let us try to put 2 and 2 together. This matter, the allegations of rape against that 16-year-old girl, allegations leveled against Dharam Lal, a sitting minister of the regime, who we are told resigned, and who we are told resigned as a minister and resigned as a member of parliament, who, according to information, he will be replaced by this guy, uh, Dharam Kumar Siraj. So look out for that name, look out for that individual. Dharam Kumar Siraj replacing Dharam Lal. So from one Dharam to another Dharam. And both of them back in 2017 had their US visas revoked. Had their US visas revoked. And maybe Dharam Kumar Siraj can say whether his US visa, was restored or not. We don't know. But what we do know here at 107.1 FM, that Dharam Kumar Siraj will replace Dharam Lal. That's just our information, mind you. And you guys should get that information very soon. As a member of parliament, Dharam Lal will be replaced by an indigenous woman because his seat is a regional seat and only someone from that region can replace him. Mr. Caesar, as we move on, what is your take on this here now? Construction of US $45 million, 200, another big hotel, 200 rooms, Blue Ridge Hotel at Liliendaal commences. And this is from a Dutch Surinamese company, a guy by the name of Balram. They have hotels in Suriname and other places, and their big thing is basically casino, the gambling and casino. You have no jobs, you have nothing. 10 years down the line, what do you think is going to happen to that economy? What do you think is going to happen to the entire country? If we have billions now and nothing is happening, no progress under this corrupt PPP regime, could you imagine? God forbid that the PPP is in office. I hope they're not, because their time is up. Your take on these hotels, sir? 200 rooms now?
First of all, Mark, what I would like to identify is just from the person's last name alone, I could identify their ethnicity. And it's the same thing that Nigel Hughes had in that report that he would have shared. With the disparity.
You mean Nigel that was sleeping, went to bed, sleeping on something, and we haven't seen him back 2 weeks plus, still sleeping? Oh, go ahead, sir. I got you.
Mark, it's amazing how you just take the opportunity to...
No, I was just, because I just wanted to ensure that it is, and that Nigel is up and he's about, because he said he was sleeping on something. We haven't seen or heard from him back. And I was just asking, that's all.
Well, hopefully we will hear from Mr. Hughes soon, sometime in the near future.
To say what, the system is working, a broken system is working?
Well,
anyways.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Go ahead, sir. Continue.
Yeah. So listen, Mark, what am I going to say here? The PPP know that the investors that they give the rights to build in Guyana, and it's obvious what's happening here. Okay, that the rich investors and the investors who are going to be allowed to build out in Guyana is going to be of a certain ethnicity. This is obvious here. We can't question it. We have sheriff. We have all these people.
Let me just pause there for a quick minute.
Sure.
We have a trench crappo alert. And we like to participate with our audience as well. Trench crappo alert. There's a trench crappo on. Here's this trench crappo. We don't want a loot and bond party in power like PNC and APNU. Well, Imtiaz Badrad, let me say this to you, trench crappo alert, that the party that burned things down and loot, and that is a criminal party, is the PPP. Look at all the burning, look at all the looting, look at all the corruption, look at all the drug dealing, look at all the money laundering, look at all the gold smuggling, look at all the kidnapping, look at all the extrajudicial killings, all manner of things. Imtiaz, shame on you, no matter why you name Imtiaz, right? You don't know better. You just don't know better. And so that is why these people come with these sort of idiotic statement. Look at what India. We don't want a loot. We don't want a loot. A loot and born party in power. Every single day, almost now, there's a fire under the PPP. Police station burning, dunk. This a burn, dunk. Everything about dunk under the PPP, because that is how they rebuild. That is how they make their money. They get kickbacks. They get all sorts of things. In terms of looting, look at what they're doing with the natural resources and the money from the natural resources fund and all kind of things. $214 million missing US dollars. Up to now, they can't account for it. So you got the nerve to come here, you trench crapo, you lagu bagu, you tereka board nanika chodor, you katahar, you korhi. All of y'all want come here to talk nonsense? Huh? Look at how the people at Bad Settlement, not all the people at Bad Settlement, mind you, but look how some of the people at Bad Settlement behave. Look at how they behave. They burn up things, they chop up, they shoot up in the air, they do all sorts of things, all sorts of criminal acts. Behave like terrorists, worse than terrorists. And you got the nerve to come here on this decent station, 107.1 FM, to talk crap. Mr. Caesar, I must apologize. I had to interject because this person, Imtiaz Budrad Dumrad, deserves the award for the night. And you guys in the audience know the award, right? And Mr. Caesar knows the award. Ring the bell for the award. Well, not the bell. Song the drum for the alarm, please. There we go. For the award. You know, the funny thing is, and I know this must be very hurtful for them. When they already get the donkey, they also get blocked. It's kind of like throwing some heavy salt on them. They're gone. Sorry for that interruption, but you know, we have to involve, we have to include our audience as well. But you were talking about the bodies that they give away hundreds of millions of dollars to, and the others, their friends and their cronies. Go ahead, Mr. Caesar.
You know, Mark, I just want to touch on that comment just now. You know, some of these people seem to have amnesia, you know, because I remember back in times, you know, in the late 90s, 2000s, you know, when I was studying and stuff, I would look up and I would see videos, you know, from Guyana with more so Afro-Guyanese parents at funeral homes bawling and screaming for their children, man, because their children would have been murdered by Phantom Squad or somebody. These people have some nerve, man, to come on here and talk about burning. They need to talk about the bulldozing, not just the burning, the bulldozing that happened at Hillfoot and Moko and all these places, burying people livestock alive and all this nonsense. This government is a terrorist organization, Mark. So let a person get out of here with that. Like I would have said, time is up. We don't want to hear anything anymore. Time is up. Anyhow, Mark.
Time is up indeed. Time is up. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, getting back to that whole big hotel and everything going up, Mark. Listen, I don't agree with that. And the reason that I don't agree with that, Mark,
but remember, here I'll stick a pin there, Mr. Caesar. That you I'm sorry that I keep saying
go for it, Mark.
You and please don't press the donkey button on me, please. Every time I interject and says stick a pin. There are people who argue that, hey, pen shop, shut your mouth, Caesar, shut your mouth. This is job. You create job for these people. What? Little cement walk, little fetch, little brick, and these sort of things. Look at when they were building the Marriott Hotel. I was there. I know what it is. They had one person of African descent working there. One person of African descent. One. And that person had the biggest, I almost sound like from Belladrum E or Linden E, had the biggest, he was the most senior there on that job site where that one African Guyanese person was responsible for. You know where he worked? He was in a little guard hut in front of the Marriott building when they were building. He was a little guard, in a little guard hut. And when it rained, he got wet. And now that's the only job they provided for an African Guyanese guy. But the bulk of those jobs were basically for Chinese nationals, not even our Indian brothers and sisters. Well, they had a couple of Indian brothers who got the job through Brassington, who was head of the privatization unit then, Winston Brassington. But one, as we can say, one black guy had a job. He was in the guard hut. The guard hut. So I don't want people to jump and say, but this is good. This is good for the country. 200 rooms hotel is good for the country? Huh? Give me a break, guys. Mr. Caesar, go right ahead, man. Sorry about that again.
Listen, Mark, like you would say, 200 room hotel. Okay, a hotel, it's funny. The government allowed these people to come in and build hotels. And I would have suggested that the government needed to at least build 2 more hotels. One at Tamari and one anywhere else of their choice. The taxpayers of Guyana, they need to own something. Okay, it's not a government thing, Mark, to really invest in hotels and these type of things. But given the climax right now, the economic climax in Guyana, it makes some sense. Okay, if we are going to be able to sustain and have a growing economy as a country as a whole. But it seems as if what we're doing, we are just having outside investors come in and invest. Now, I want to ask in this investment here, what it is that is in this investment for the people of Guyana. Because we seem to be having a lot of gambling, casinos and hotels and stuff like that. Hey, look, Mark, these things perpetrate a lot of lawlessness, man. And Guyana right now is lawless beyond lawless. So when you have these type of facilities going up, Mark, and you having gun license being handed out like identifications in Guyana, what road do you think we're heading down in Guyana? We have totally lost our values. We have lost our values. We're settling for lawlessness. We are not setting proper standards, man. This is our country.
The other thing is, Mr. Caesar, the 50,000 jobs that Irfan they promised. Where is that?
Mark, let me be frank with you. That is never going to materialize. Let's be honest here. That's not happening. Okay? Again, another lesson to the Guyanese people. This is what the PPP gives. Okay, and Mark, while I'm at it now, let me let it out the bag right now. Next general elections in 2025, you Guyanese people, you same Guyanese people, you will be offered between 100, 150 to 200,000 Guyana dollars to vote PPP. That's how important the next election in 2025 is. And I wanted to lay that on the table for you guys to think about it. Think about $200,000 and what you are worth. Okay? Like I would have said over and over again, you guys are some of the richest people per capita in the world. Guyana has less than 1 million people. I'm not even sure we have 750,000. Maybe we do with the influx of Venezuelans that's coming in. But maybe not, So you guys are worth a whole lot more than $200,000. But I'm going to let you guys think about it because the decision is ultimately yours. But I just wanted to lay that out one time. So Jagdio, the people are going to be edified. They are going to be ready. Just like how they didn't take this $40,000, $20,000 to vote during the local government election, at least most of them didn't. And even if they did, they didn't vote PPP. Right? Our people will be edified. They would be ready. Listen, Mark, when you own something, you have to take ownership of it. Guyana belongs to the people of Guyana. It does not belong to no government. That's what the people got to understand. It does not belong to any government, especially this government. And again, Mark, I say shame on the outside powers that would have come and dethrone and remove a duly elected government and place into power and install racist cabal. Over to you, Mark.
And that's exactly what it is, because they're not giving anything, especially to African Guyanese contractors and so forth. They're just not. And the few who are getting are questionable persons. You look at them, they're just questionable characters. That's all. And it's unfortunate. It's a shame. And this is why we got to keep putting down whenever Air Finale they come with this one Guyana crap, that there's not one Guyana at all. It's a divided Guyana under the corrupt PPP regime. I'm not sure what's your take on this one Guyana crap propaganda, sir.
Oh, Mark, one Guyana. Listen, that don't apply to me at all, and could never apply to me. I grew up knowing one people, one nation, one destiny. That's what it's going to always be. I grew up knowing the father of Guyana is Lyndon Forbes Samson Barnum. Cheddy Jagan is at best the big brother of Guyana. Okay, is he relevant? Yes, he is. They are both relevant. But it would be quite a stretch to say that Mr. Cheddy Jagan is the father of Guyana. The father of Guyana is Lyndon Forbes Samson Barnum. I just want to make that clear. And it's going to always be one people, one nation, one destiny. This is where all 6 of our ethnic groups come together harmoniously, live good amongst each other for the development of our country, Guyana. Not no government, bringing in all their different people and corrupting our country. Listen, we saw Jack Dio in the corner of his house trying to strike a deal. Let's not forget about these things. Mark, come election time, I'm gonna have a very long commercial running right here on 107.1 FM, just reminding the people of the disaster that this government was over the last 3 years. Plus, I may throw in some of the disasters from the 23 years that they had before. Listen, enough is enough, man. We're just not taking this anymore, and the opposition, I call on you guys to continue to step your game up. I was very impressed with the turnout for the rally yesterday. I was very impressed with the speakers. Let's keep our feet on the gas. We can't give them a break here. Let's keep them on the back foot. We need to always be frontal. This is our country, and we're going to recapture our country. Again, time up. Over to you, Mark.
Time up indeed, Miss Rhonda Lane. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Neville Cetel, also known as Civic, all the way in Madja. Neville had to go to court today, and maybe we'll have Neville on, for, also known as Civic, for a few minutes to talk about what happened, what transpired at court today. So we want to hear from our brother Civic, who should be on for a few minutes tomorrow to talk about that. But as we were talking about the situation at Marriott Hotel, look at this date for those of you who can see. This is when the Marriott was constructing back in 2003. January 4th, 2013. This is when this post was made by, of course, yours truly. It says the Marriott Hotel project in Guyana is a fraud. And this was since back in 2013. If you go on my Facebook page, and of course there were a few others who were speaking out at that time as well. It says Marriott Hotel project in Guyana is a fraud. That was my opinion then. It is still my opinion now. It says the corrupt PPP regime is set to waste millions of US dollars, poor people's money from NIS and NISL on the Jagdeo-controlled Marriott Hotel. The truth is the directors of Marriott International, including Mitt Romney, have not approved the hotel's name to be used in Guyana. And back then there was this controversy that they didn't know who the number one money guy was at that time. And so 2013, now it's 2023, over 10 years after, Jack Dale again in action, wanting to sell the Marriott International Hotel that belongs to the people, built with taxpayers' money that Jack Dale took and gave to his cronies and his friends them through Republic Bank. And now a new guy is going to be buying this. A guy said to be somewhere from India, but he lives in the US and so forth. And then we have this other hotel that is building at Lilindale. The builder is said to be from, of course, Balaram, an East Indian guy from Suriname. And so we see the trend. And this is why we cannot accept, and you spoke about this earlier, we cannot accept this one Guyana crap. And this is again another post back in 2013 that I made. It says here, seriously, if you guys can't sign this petition for a good cause, then I will surely start cleaning up my friends list. We were calling on people to sign the petition to stop the construction of the Marriott Hotel. This was back in 2013, guys. 2013. I don't know, Mr. Caesar. You think our ears hard? Something? What's going on?
Well, Mark. Well, listen. You just open a can of worms there. You just talk about signing a petition. Why can't we have a petition created? Not by you and I. We're already doing our work. By the Guyanese people, and they sign it, stopping Barra Jagdeo, who is one person displaying absolute power, from selling the Marriott Hotel because it belongs to the taxpayers.
They feel it belongs to them.
It's unfair to them.
It's unfair to them. Jack Dale believes it belongs to him. They believe everything in Guyana belongs to them. Yeah. Everything.
That's really not fair to the people, Mark. That's not fair to the people of Guyana. And I'm just hoping, Mark, that I'm able, to get through to the people and they understand what's happening here. Because if they continue to posture the way they're posturing, they would not have a voice in another 5 to 6 years. They wouldn't have a voice. They wouldn't have anything. Okay, these people are going to just run right over them like if they don't exist. Listen, Mark, the PPP and their investors, they want Guyana. Guyana is rich in every which way. Okay, they want Guyana. But what they don't want, Mark, is the people of Guyana. And that is sad. That is despicable. It is so disrespectful, right? People in Guyana are treated in their own country like second-class citizens with no dignity, no respect. And this government calls itself a caring government. What? Caring? You guys looked up that word in the dictionary? What caring actually means? You don't care about buildings. You care about your people. You don't care about infrastructure. You care about the mothers in your country able to send their children to school, able to work a decent job and make a decent salary, the mothers and fathers to upkeep themselves, to sustain themselves financially. You empower the children, right? And one way you can do that is by allowing free university. And this government just sits there, Mark, and talking about renting, actually importing employment. That's a slap in the face of your people. Who you think is responsible for the people being edified and being educated and ready to go there and work? That's a government responsibility. And you guys sit there and talk about Guyanese are not skilled. Guyanese are very, very, very intelligent people. How dare you guys? Not because some of you would have went to the University of IFLAT, you think that everybody went to IFLAT. Come on now, let's be real.
All right.
Work with the people. Over to you, Mark.
Mr. Caesar here. We're looking at the time, 16 minutes after. We are seeing nothing new in terms of how vindictive and vicious the Guyana regime, the so-called government of Guyana, is towards citizens. We have seen hundreds of citizens gunned down. We have seen citizens assassinated. such as Courtney Crummy Wing, Ronald Waddle. We've seen a minister of the PPP regime gunned down, slaughtered. Nothing happened. That Sash saw. We have seen it all. People have been kidnapped. People have been tortured. Young folks kidnapped, tortured. We see it all under the PPP regime. And some of us who were there on the ground, we lived through it. We battled it, and all manner of things. And we know how very corrupt and murderous the PPP regime is. We already know how corrupt and murderous these PPP regime, these folks in the PPP regime are. And one of the things that they do too, they usually parade corrupt policemen and women to do their dirty jobs. And so if you're an activist on the ground in Guyana, they will follow you, they will trail you, they will intimidate you, and so forth. And I sit here speaking from firsthand information, firsthand experience, for many, many years. And so I know what the police force do and how they trail people and whatever. But I had nothing to hide. If I want to go to Burumbar, I'll go straight to Burumbar. Let them follow me. It's okay. But one of the things that we're seeing now, and it is very dangerous, and we have social media now, but back in the days when they were after guys, a few of us, and killed a few, and wrongful incarceration and so forth, we know. But times have changed now. There is social media here now. And we've got to be careful with these folks targeting citizens now. And one such person that they're targeting is social media personality Melly Mel, as reported in the by Travis Chase. We are not seeing it yet in the Starbucks News and so forth. We're not going to see it in the Chronicle and these things. Melly Mel is of the view, and rightfully so, that they are after her because Melly Mel would throw up her stuff and she will speak out on matters and so forth concerning Guyana and the regime, the corrupt PPP regime. They don't like people who do that. And so what they do is they lose their animals. I'm not calling all the policemen and women animals. Is like you can't say anything. They go after you. And so Melly Mel is just one that they've added to the list now. And Melly Mel, of course, Melly Mel is fighting back, and rightly so. People got to fight back. You can't just take a slap from this regime and be afraid and shut up. So we give Melly Mel credit for fighting back. And thus far, we are waiting to see whether the police force is going to indeed say that they are going after Melly Mel on some, according to Melly Mel, cybercrime infraction that they want to charge her for. The police force have been very quiet on that. The regime is very quiet on that. But we are monitoring that particular situation with Melly Mel. They are also doing the same to scores of others. And you've got to stand up for your rights. You've got to stand up and fight back, just like Melly Mel is fighting back. Your closing remarks, please, Mr. Caesar.
Yeah, well, Mark, before I even close, I just want to touch on the Melly Mel thing quick. She's been very, very strong, and effective, in our activism. And, and that would definitely trouble the installed regime. So I could see the reasoning why, they want to, try to mess with her and bring cybercrime charges against her and these type of things. But listen, we as Guyanese, the diaspora and on the ground in Guyana, we have to stand shoulder to shoulder and rally around our sister. We have to protect her. Okay, it's not guaranteed that anybody else out there is going to protect her. So we have to step up and we have to let them know, that they cannot touch her. They just cannot touch her.
Yeah,
period.
I agreeing with you as we prepare to close out the program is we have to stand up for all of our brothers and sisters who are being attacked. And one such person, and Melly Mel knows that the people will rally around her, just as the people should rally around every other individual. They have done the same to our sister on the ground, Rhonda Lane. And we only talk. Rhonda Lane had to go to court, and I want to make this point and very, very clear. Rhonda Lane on the ground had to go to court all by herself. Nobody gave a damn about Rhonda Lane. Rhonda Lane was fighting her battle. Rhonda Lane was there in Guyana protesting. Rhonda Lane don't waste time. Rhonda Lane is brave. Rhonda Lane on the ground, she doesn't miss a protest. She stands up. She's there on the ground. She's on programs. She talks what she believes to be right. And Rhonda Lane was slapped with a cybercrime charge. It's a shame and a disgrace that 99% of people in Guyana, especially those in the opposition, didn't have time with Rhonda Lane. What happened? Because Rhonda Lane is from Den Amstel? Eh? Because Rhonda Lane is, carrying age like us, Wayne Caesar, or like myself, because she's an not. I don't want to disrespect her and say elderly. Why? Because she's from Den Amstel and so forth. Nobody rallied around her. Nobody rallied around poor Rhonda Lane. Rhonda Lane was fined $500,000 Guyana dollars for some dotish cybercrime stuff, but nobody cared about Rhonda Lane. Nobody gave a damn about Rhonda Lane, right? Keith Beresford? Nobody gave a damn about Rhonda Lane, right? Rhonda Lane went to some lawyers in the opposition who basically told her they don't have time for that. She is on her own. So we see these things, guys. We see these things. We got to stop the nonsense. We got to stop the nonsense. If one of our brother or sister, regardless of ethnicity, as long as you stand on the side of justice. Rhonda Lane says she's 62. You're still young, Rhonda. You're still young. But Rhonda, we are with you too, as we are with Melly Mel, and we are with others who are standing up and fighting against a vicious and vindictive regime. Some might be braver than others, but at the end of the day, we all have to stand with each other. And it's a shame and a disgrace, right, Nadira Sukraj? It is a shame and a disgrace that Rhonda Lane was turned down by some of those same lawyers in the opposite. Oh, they mean no. Oh, you can't win the case. Oh, you can't this. Oh, you can't that. Oh, I'm too busy now. If I line, Rhonda Lane is right here. I'm not talking water in my mouth, Mr. Caesar. Rhonda Lane is right here. Rhonda Lane was frustrated. I know that. I'm not going to brag on, oh, she reached out. We talked, we spoke. And so I know how the sister felt. And everybody ganging up against her. Oh, because she was wrong to say this and she said that. Y'all wake up. Fight for those who are also fighting for you, who are there every time there's a protest. Rhonda Lane is out there. Every single time there's a protest, Rhonda Lane is out there. She's putting her life on the line. But when she got charged with stupid, silly cybercrime, nobody was there. People were hardly there for Rhonda. Just a few folks were there for Rhonda. It happened to Rhonda and others, and we ignored it. It must not happen to anyone again. Not even Rhonda, not even Melly Mel. It must not happen. We must stop it. But enough of you guys are surprised by what I just said there, right? Same Rhonda Lane, who they're on the ground fighting for Latowi, and who lives in her house in Den Amstel, still fighting for us. Thank you, Rhonda Lane. Thank you. And thank you to others who do the same on the ground in Guyana or on social media. Thank you all so much. But Rhonda Lane, thank you, my friend. Thank you. Mr. Caesar, before we go, your closing remarks. Again, I think I asked you that. Again.
Yeah, Mark, I just want to close by saying one thing, and I'm going to continue to speak on the same topic that we're on right now in my closing. Listen, there are many of us activists who are out there and we all speak out. Okay? We all are going up against the same adversary here. Okay? And what I have noticed, and I say this to say this, that we all, okay, have our own little part to play. But what I've noticed is that there have been a lot of egos out there, and people allow their egos to get the better of them. When I come on this show, Mark, with you, man, I am egoless, man. It's not about me. It's about the Guyanese people. You know, that's who I care about, the Guyanese people. The Guyanese people and the Guyanese people only, nothing else. So we need to become egoless, man. We need to put aside our egos and understand that we all have to work together, though we all may have diverse perspectives. The goal is common, to get the PPP out of government. So we need to respect each other. We need to put aside our egos. We need to stand shoulder to shoulder, and we need to work together for the best interests of the Guyanese people and our beautiful Guyana. Oh, beautiful Guyana. Oh, my lovely native land. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you so much. It's difficult for human beings to put their egos aside. Some have more egos than others, and some believe that their ego supersedes everything else. But I agree with you. When something happens to our brothers and sisters in a struggle, we must never ignore it, regardless of the social or economic status of that individual. And speaking of Rhonda Lane, it breaks my heart to see how she was treated and how she was ignored. You know what it is for a woman like Rhonda Lane to be slapped with a frivolous cybercrime charge. And then she was railroaded through the system. She was railroaded through the system. And look, Rhonda just made a comment. Rhonda said, yourself, Mark, Kadaki Amsterdam, Dr. Hines, and others were showing loves, and she's thankful for that. Yes, Kadaki, credit to Kadaki as well, credit to Dr. David Hines as well, and a few others who were on this matter with Rhonda Lane. Others just ignored it. It's like she never existed. A woman who put her life on the line, a 62-year-old young woman who put her life on the line for all of us. The PPP was after her, charged Rhonda Lane with some frivolous cybercrime law, dragged the woman through the lockups, dragged her through the courts, put her on bail, but we're hearing enough loud enough talk about that. Outside of putting her on bail, railroaded her through the court system. And the very court system found her guilty, even though the prosecutor couldn't prove a case against her. Even though the police said anybody could have gone in her phone and typed whatever on her social media because it was open. The police said that. But poor Rhonda Lane was found guilty and had to find 500,000 Guyana dollars. Nobody cared about Rhonda Lane, just a few people. Nobody cared. There wasn't much said about Rhonda Lane because 62-year-old woman in a little nice modest house, she calls her home in that Amstel. Nobody cared. Nobody gave a damn about Rhonda. But Rhonda, we care tonight. And we love you, and we appreciate what you do, because you don't miss a protest. You go out there because it is your true conviction. You're passionate about what you do. And we thank you for that. Thank you, Rhonda. We must not give up on a Rhonda, as we must not give up on anyone else who go through this sort of persecution from the PPP regime. And what Melly Mel is going through now as well. But we are yet to hear the police say anything about that. And they're not going to say how they operate. But we must not give up on those who are there standing up against injustices. We must side with them. Whether it's a Rhonda Lane or whether it's a Melly Mel, whether it's a Caesar, whomever it is, we must stand up. We can't stand up for one and ignore the others. We just cannot do that. Anyways, guys, we will be back tomorrow. Same place. We acknowledge all of you guys who are watching this program tonight, wherever you are. We acknowledge all of you. And I know Mr. Caesar mentioned just as he came on that he was busy all over doing Ben Chap Foundation work. I just want to publicly thank you, sir, for a great job over the weekend. There are a couple of folks who were able to donate a little something and say, look, we want this towards the backpack. We appreciate that. But let me just say this publicly. We are not accepting financial contributions at all. And the few, one or two, and as we know them, we are thankful to you guys for what you have done. But our preference is if you got to order it or we got to pick up whatever books, spend your money. Don't give us the money. Please don't do that. Don't do that. All right? But thank you so much, though, Mr. Caesar, for what you did. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We can't leave out your mother. Run here. We can't leave out. Let me say this to folks. I'm going to bat here for Rhonda. If you know anybody that's going to Guyana and you want to send a little something, whether it's a little slippers, because she got to wear slippers to go, and she didn't ask me this. She didn't. She doesn't beg anybody for anything. But I'm just feeling it that we must show our appreciation. Even as a little slippers. Rhonda looks like she wears size 14. Right? Rhonda, I just wanted you to put a smile on your face. But if you are interested in Rhonda and our fighters, we must be able to help each other. Rhonda, hopefully you'll get a call or two from someone or some folks who are watching. And if they're going to Guyana, stop by at Rhonda over Then I'm Still and bless her up in whatever way. In whatever way. Thank you all so much. And God bless you, all of you. Again, thank you, Mr. Caesar. Thank you to Civic also in Madhya. Civic went to court today. He's out. Self-bail. We will talk to Civic a little more about that. Somebody's already asking Rhonda, what is Rhonda's shoe size? You got to say shoe size. You can't just come and say what is her size, because it comes back to this song. Oh, shucks. Rhonda wears size 12 for truth. I forget Rhonda is from the country. Rhonda wears size 12 shoes? What? Okay, Rhonda, we got you. Because when you say, what's your size? Lieutenant Stitchy many years ago came out with a song, young girl, wear your size. Young girl, wear your size. I love you guys. I know, Caesar, you probably don't know that song, but that young girl wear your size is different from the shoes. But Rhonda wears size 12, wide width shoes, size 12. Can't stop them country ladies by size 12. God bless you all. Thank you, Mr. Caesar. Please give my regards to your mom, sir. Appreciate it.
I will do, Mark. Good night, everyone. And of course, God bless our great country, Guyana.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Caesar. God bless you too. Take care.
So, this is attorney.
Our listeners, God bless all of you too. So long.
So, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
With another one, straight up, Black Messiah. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Ben stop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Ben stop, registration is the truth. Mark Ben stop, straight up from the root. Mark Ben stop, who tell the truth? Mark Ben stop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Ben stop, registration is the truth. Mark Ben stop, straight up from the root. Mark Benz, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everyone. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benz stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can need it, don't contact the crooks can walk. I who tell the truth, Mark Benz. Defend the ghetto youth, Mark Benz. Registration is the truth, Mark Benz. Straight up from the root.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you, so call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.